Imagine walking through the woods and finding a body, with a thick wooden stalk erupting directly from the center of its skull. A living mushroom, using a brain as its soil. In our world, that's a nightmare. In the world beneath your feet, it's a daily reality. There is a master puppeteer in these woods, and it's looking for its next victim. This is the zombie ant fungus. It doesn't just kill its host, it executes a total hostile takeover. It strips away the ant's will and replaces it with a singular terrifying purpose. We're about to deconstruct the most calculated hijacking in the natural world, from the first microscopic touch to the final explosive bloom. This is Silent Wild. The forest floor is essentially a microscopic minefield. The parasite doesn't hunt, it waits. It releases sticky, heavy spores that hang in the humid air or coat the high-traffic trails where ants forage. But this isn't a threat to every insect. If a beetle or a spider brushes against these spores, nothing happens. The spore remains dormant. It only wakes up when it detects the specific chemical signature, the hydrocarbons on the exoskeleton of a carpenter ant. It's a biological key looking for one specific lock. Once that chemical bond is made, the spore begins to germinate and the countdown to the takeover begins. It starts with a single spore. While this fungus has evolved into hundreds of specialized strains, its most famous victim is the carpenter ant. The culprit? Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. This is a parasite so specialized that it has spent millions of years learning the exact layout of an ant's nervous system just to dismantle it. The fungus secretes an enzyme that melts a hole through the armor, but it doesn't go for the brain. Instead, it weaves itself through the ant's entire body, wrapping around the muscles like living wires. The ant is still conscious, it's still in there, but its legs are no longer listening to its own mind. The fungus has bypassed the pilot and taken control of the machine. The most disturbing discovery in recent years is that the fungus doesn't actually need the ant's brain to move its body. When we say it wraps around the muscles, it's far more invasive than a simple coating. The fungus forms a massive interconnected 3D network throughout the ant's body, essentially creating a second nervous system. By the time the ant starts its final climb, the fungus has begun to physically break down the connections between the ant's brain and its limbs. It isn't persuading the ant to walk, it is physically pulling the levers of the muscle while the brain is effectively locked out. It's a biological hijacking, where the pilot is still alive, but the steering wheel has been disconnected. Now comes the death grip. The fungus forces the ant to leave its colony and wander into the wild. It's looking for a very specific set of coordinates, exactly 25 centimeters above the ground, not 20, not 30. At this precise height, the humidity and temperature are perfect for a fungus to thrive. Once the ant reaches the kill zone, it is commanded to bite down on a leaf with such force that its jaw muscles lock forever. It is now a permanent fixture of the forest. This isn't a new war. In the Messelpit fossil site in Germany, researchers found a leaf dating back 48 million years. On its surface was the unmistakable T-shaped bite mark of an ant in its final death grip. This tells us that the 25 centimeter rule isn't just a coincidence, it's a perfected evolutionary strategy. The fungus has been hitting this exact target since before humans existed, refining its grim architecture 1 millimeter at a time for nearly 50 million years. But the fungus has a problem. The colony fights back. Ants can actually smell the infection. If a worker realizes a sibling is being piloted, the response is brutal. They will carry the zombie miles away, sacrificing themselves to keep the hive safe. It's a biological war that's been raging for 48 million years. A silent massacre happening beneath your boots every time you step into the trees. But survival for the fungus depends on more than just control. It depends on stealth. Because ants have such a sensitive sense of smell, they can detect a sick individual almost immediately. To counter this, the fungus stays silent during the early stages. It actually alters the ant's pheromones so it still smells like a healthy member of the colony. It hides in plain sight, feeding on the ant's non-essential fat stores and waiting until the very last moment to trigger the wandering behaviour. It is a master of chemical disguise. It makes you wonder, If a fungus can hijack the complex nervous system of an insect, what else is out there, hidden in the green? We watch stories like The Last of Us and call it fiction, mutation that jumps to humans. But in biology, never is a dangerous word. Evolution is just a series of successful accidents. And right now, in the silent corners of the wild, the fungus is still practicing.